Well, first things first, of course, you've got the new album coming out soon, Mount Carcass. Um, this is promising to be quite a brutal affair so far, from what I've heard. How are you comparing it to the previous album, The Harvest?
I'd say it's a little straighter and with a more punkish or crusty feel to it than The Harvest. The Harvest was more progressive with more complex song structures, and I think The Harvest took a little more effort from the listener to get into it. But Mount Carcass is maybe a little easier to access.
Okay.
And there was just because the songwriting process was so different, it's due to the whole pandemic thing, everything was different on this record. And I think this, you can hear it on the record.
Absolutely. So, obviously, like we say, everyone's dealing with the pandemic, and it affects a lot of the recording and release and some things like that. Were you able to record this album before everything went down, or had it really
No,
taken its toll on you?
no, we went into studio in November.
Okay.
Uh, so it was like basically in the middle of our shutdown here. But we spoke to the authorities, whatever, if we are allowed to go into a recording studio and work professionally and stuff. And we were. Of course, we couldn't be there all together all the time.
Yeah.
We had to take turns and stuff, but it was fine. So we were very well prepared when we went into the studio. So everything was running really smooth. And we were just happy that we could keep up to our time schedule and pull this off.
Cool. I would imagine then you would have had to have made sure all the material was written beforehand. You couldn't really
Yeah, right.
jump around your ideas.
Yeah. I think we started songwriting back in April last year when we realized, okay, there will be no live shows for the whole year because all of our 30 plus shows got canceled for last year, and all our touring plans went down the drain.
Yeah.
So we just we wasted no time with like sitting around and crying, but we sat down and started songwriting. It's just
Cool.
let's try to be creative. Let's try to make some music and make something out of it. That even when the pandemic is over, we don't sit there with an old record. We
Yeah.
we want to stay fresh and stuff. Um, and since we couldn't tour and couldn't play any shows, we had no distraction from the songwriting. We were
Hmm.
totally focused on the songwriting. There was nothing else to do, and that was great. We never had that before. On the previous records, we always were on tour in between or playing weekend shows and stuff. So you also had to stay in shape for the live shows,
Yeah.
and couldn't fully concentrate on the songwriting. But this time was different, and that was great. I really enjoyed that.
Well, that's good. And it's maybe a little bit more of a comfortable writing environment as well when you don't have to stay in quite so much shape for live
Yeah,
shows. It may be for your own
absolutely.
benefit, but you
Yeah.
can just be like me and sit down and feel your ass grow.
Yeah, I mean, now we have to get back into shape, since there's this record release live streaming show coming up on April 18th. We really have to rehearse, and also we have to rehearse the old stuff,
Yeah.
because we're not gonna play only the new record, but also songs from the older ones. I was like, oh damn, when you haven't played the songs for a year, it's like crazy. How
Yeah.
did they go? Like you have to learn that shit again. And it's
Yeah,
sick.
man. Where's the live stream show taking place?
We're playing in the Knust in Hamburg, which is one of our favorite clubs over here. And yeah, this is where we're gonna stream from. It has a nice stage, nice lighting setup and stuff, good sound. And we're just working out a concept that it makes a little bit more interesting than just us going on stage and play. We try to make it a little bit more interactive with the viewers, so that they get the chance to uh, yeah, interact with us while we were playing or in between. Nothing that I can talk about at this point, but we're still working this out.
Yeah,
But we do our very best to make it entertaining for everybody. So we try to make sure everybody has a good time in that evening.
absolutely. Well, with already quite a varied catalogue, it should be make for a very interesting set. Like you say, if this one's more crust and punk inspired, and the last one more progressive. I mean, a lot of people kind of see progressive and punk and crust are like the very polar opposites. So being able to combine those into your music and performing in one set is going to make for a really interesting show, I think.
Yeah, I think it's very diverse. You know, there's something in for everybody who likes death metal. We have very different songs throughout the years, and we try to mix it up in a way that everybody could enjoy it. You know, so you have like the mid-tempo or slower songs with heavy headbanging groovers, and of course we have the more blasting kind of brutal stuff going
Yeah,
on, and with complex song structures and stuff. But yeah, I think it's when everything's always the same, you know, it gets kind of boring, and
absolutely.
uh, we don't we don't want to bore ourselves or our listeners. You know, we just try to keep it fresh.
Yeah, I think that's a problem a lot of death metal bands have in particular is it's just brutal, 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 and then you don't really get much out of it because it's the same thing for half an hour. So being able to combine different elements and challenge yourselves as well as the listener it makes for a much more interesting.
At least that's our approach. You know, like
Yeah, no, I agree. We've also done a music video for the album Unholy Rites, which
yeah,
is that's the music video on the album title. It's a pretty cool video as well.
thanks.
Yeah. Did you have any problems recording video with with everything that's going on?
No, we like professional video productions were allowed. Of course, you had to follow the restrictions, you know, and try to keep the distance and whatever, you know, which doesn't work on all the scenes. But we made sure everybody's healthy on the set. We're pretty carefully about that because we didn't want anybody to get sick or to get in trouble with the authorities, you know, pay like horrendous fees and stuff. So because of course we were a poor death metal band, you know, we couldn't pay shit. But yeah, it was great fun to shoot the video, although it was freezing cold at that time, and the poor cheerleaders, you know, barely wearing anything. They were pretty freezing, but we gave them lots of alcohol, so they got warm
Oh,
from the inside, you know. That was great. It was great atmosphere at the set. It was good fun. You know, we were heading for this trash horror movie, cheap kind of look, you know,
yeah,
with those fingers falling off when Yuri is playing a solo and stuff,
yeah,
or the drummer losing his arm. You know, we like that goofy kind of stuff, and we
yeah,
thought that it fits the party death metal vibe that this song has. You know.
yeah. That's interesting. I was talking with Based. I don't know if you know them from Denmark.
Yeah, yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
and I was talking with Simon. He was saying a similar thing. You know, is that you want to have that element of in your death metal where it is still fun. You want to show people it is. It's about having a good time as much as anything else. You know.
Sure.
So
That's what it's about. Absolutely.
absolutely, yeah. I also really like the artwork for this album. This is done by Marcus Grasek. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
how did you get in contact with him?
Actually, he works for our record company,
Oh,
and he's a good friend, you know, because we worked close together on The Harvest already, and he's a great dude, and he's a good guy to hang out with. So he's much more than the guy from the record label, but he's a true friend. And we're talking about the new record and stuff, and showing him demos, and then we checked different guys for the artwork, you know, and got some layouts from here and there. And suddenly he came up with, "Hey guys, you know, I made up my mind. What do you think about this?" And we were like, "Oh, dude, this is crazy. This is super cool." Um, so we asked him to complete it and do the whole layout and stuff, and that's what he did. And we're super happy with the outcome because it really reflects the the overall vibe of the record. But also, like, you can find a lot of hints and Easter eggs of the different songs in the cover artwork. There's a lot of stuff in there to discover, and I really like this napalm death kind of vibe that the cover has. You know, it's
yeah,
great.
that's
It's
what
a
it
cool
really
attitude.
reminded me of.
Yeah,
Scum, especially Scum
yeah,
and
right.
From Enslavement to Obliteration. So,
Right. And we wanted to have something different than on the other records. We just, as I said before with the music, we don't want to repeat ourselves too badly. We always try to get some new elements in there just to keep it interesting for ourselves and stuff. And also with the artwork, we thought this is the right moment to step a little away from the just black and white skull
Yeah,
decomposing, dripping stuff, more into something different.
yeah. That's one of the reasons I like the art. Is because as much as the previous two full lengths, the artwork was really good, especially the first. To have it something different, yet not a drastic change. It's not like a picture of a fucking rainbow or something. Um, to have that represents kind of goes with the progression of the band. A lot of people say the third album is the most important. Um, so to have that kind of marked difference straight off the bat, it's kind of shows the evolution of the band.
Well, funny enough that you mentioned like the importance of the third album, there's this like make it or break it saying and whatever, but when we wrote the record, we were like totally, our mindset was totally free, much, much freer than on the two previous records, I'd say, because we were just, yeah, I don't know. We didn't feel any pressure at all. We were just, let's write some good songs. Let's try to have fun. That was the mindset that we were into.
Yeah,
And especially on the Harvest, it was a little different. We were like freshly signed to Metal Black Records, which is like teenage dream coming true when you're signed to such a legendary label. It's like, oh my God. And of course, even if you don't feel it in that moment, but in retrospective, of course, we felt some kind of pressure, because we wanted to perform very well and use our chance and whatever, So, but with this record, it was way more relaxed, which
yeah,
is yeah, let's just do it and that's it. And I think that was pretty good for the record.
cool. Well, in reading up on the record and reading press releases and all this kind of thing, it was said that this is more of a political record than the previous two albums.
Yeah.
Um, what specifically makes this more of a political album? What subjects you tackle on this album?
Um, Well, I mean, of course, it was there are things that are inspired by the whole pandemic kind of thing and how the world deals with it,
Yeah,
and all the stuff that also comes with it. Like we've seen, when you take a look to the U.S., we've seen like armed people like
yeah,
going to government buildings and like demanding that the barber shops open again because they want a haircut or whatever. This is crazy stuff, and we've seen like a lot of conspiracy theories going back and forth all over the world in all colors and shapes, stuff like that. Then we had seen like several civil unrest situations, like the demonstration things in Hong Kong, Black Lives Matter movement all over the world. There's so much stuff going on, and not only last year, but like for a bunch of years already.
yeah,
But I think last year, since we were like all forced to sit at home all the time, you were more exposed to this, and I got the feeling that it's coming from all sides, all the time. It's like all this negativity in the world and violence and people don't getting along with each other and like oppressive regimes, police brutality, all this stuff, and that stuff that we talk about in the band because we're like as individuals we're very politically interested and stuff. We thought, okay, we this is something that we carry around with us and which I don't know moves us, and we have to address that. You when you write a song, you want to get stuff off your chest, and those were like things that we um, yeah that we used for it. It's like, for example, the song "Merciless Tide." This really focuses on different kind of conspiracy theories and the danger that comes with it. I mean, just think about the Pizzagate thing where this guy ran into the pizzeria with a gun. This could have ended very, very badly. And and there's several other stuff and deep state, what reptiloids, you name it, all this stuff. And Count the Dead is more like about the real like civil unrest kind of things, the clashes with the police in Hong Kong, or the heavily armed police like dealing with the Black Lives Matters demonstrators in the US, and as well as in Europe over here and stuff. Like this is not a thing just about US or Germany or whatever. This is a global thing, and yeah, we just felt the need to speak up against that.
Absolutely. That's very interesting as well. Is there any more sort of kind of, let's say, local to Germany problems, political or social wise, that are addressed on the album?
Sure. Well, I mean, like those two songs, they are pretty much those are the most political songs on the record. So, and of course, they include a lot of the German stuff that I was talking about. But besides that, the rest of the record isn't too political, actually.
Okay.
I mean, they're like stuff. When you take the title track, Mount Carcass, in the first place, it is just about the ascending of Mount Everest and the bizarre industry that is built around this, with these super expensive climbing licenses that the government sells for like, I don't know, 40,000 euros or whatever, just to get on the mountain. And then you find yourself in a traffic jam of climbers in the death zone, and you collapse and freeze to death, and your fucking corpse stays on the mountain forever because it's impossible to recover. And and this thing is a pretty good metaphor for our modern day society and for our economy. You have to go further, you have to get to the top, you have to be successful and better. And even if you have to step over corpses, literally, this is how we run the world. And this is sick. This is crazy. I think so there are like political or social messages in the songs, but it's not always as openly addressed as in Merciless Tide or Count the Dead.
Okay. That's a really interesting way of looking at things, especially the comparison. That's fascinating.
Cool, thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. Just finally then, obviously, can't really tour at the moment, but you've got a live stream show coming up, as well as obviously the release of the album. Have you got any further plans to help promote this album?
Yeah, sure. We're planning to shoot some more music videos. Since, as you said, we don't have the possibility to tour, and after the record is out, normally we would go out and play shows. But since this is not going to happen, we have to do something, and we want to stay in touch with the fans. So I think we will shoot some more music videos, talking about different concepts and ideas at the moment. And I think there's going to be some pretty entertaining stuff in it. And yeah, and our booking agent, he's working on some shows that might happen even this year. Nothing that I can talk about properly, but maybe there's one or the other open air seated show possible, and we're working on proper tours for 22.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
Ben, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me today, man. I really do appreciate it.
I appreciate your time. Thanks, man.
No problem.
It's great. Thanks for the support.
Anytime. So, vielen Dank und gute Nacht.
Thanks you. Good night. And I hope once we come over to the UK and play some shows, we meet and have a cool beer.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Look after yourself, mate.
Thanks, you too. Stay healthy. Bye-bye. Bye.